Welcome back to Felicity Was Here. I'm Heather.
I'm Melissa.
And I'm Dr. Joe.
And today we're discussing Felicity Season 1, Episode 17, Assassins.
It feels like so long since we've recorded.
Yeah, it's been a little bit.
It has been. We've had a little break. It's nice. We did do March Madness, which I was so excited to see some of our listeners participating in the voting. I was a little surprised at which episode won. It was Felicity Was Here. Big shocker. I swear we did not rig it. It's not fixed. Like, that just happened to be the winner. It just must be kismet that everyone loves that episode from season 1. And it is such a great classic episode, like amazing cliffhanger. One of the best love triangles was set up in the history of television. So I love the episode. I was just surprised that was number 1, but I guess I shouldn't be because that was like the top rated episode on IMDb. It was the number 1 seed. Wow. So I was a little surprised, but what about you? What were your favorite episodes?
I think when I first watched this show, like I would have said, yes, Felicity Was Here would be my number 1. But like going back and watching it now as an adult, I definitely think that Thanksgiving is the number 1 episode. Like, there's some problematic things about Felicity Was Here that I will talk about when we get to that episode that I'm like noticing more now as an adult. So, yeah, I don't know. I was shocked.
Oh my heart still belongs to Spooked.
No,
just because I love Halloween so much.
That one didn't do as well as I thought it would. I was a little surprised because it is a really good episode. I mean, it's definitely got its cringe moments, but that's what this whole series is built on, you know? But yeah, I mean, just really excited that everyone participated. It was super fun to do. And yeah, if Thanksgiving couldn't win, I'm glad that Felicity Was Here was the top winner. But yeah, Thanksgiving's definitely my favorite. And I actually thought that the pilot was definitely in the running for the final 2. So surprised that didn't make it either. But I think we could start to see where most people's loyalties lie on the Team Ben or Team Noel spectrum. But
oh boy.
Yeah, I mean, I won't get into it too much yet because we will discuss that episode at length. But yeah, it was really fun for us to do. So thanks everyone who helped vote and participate. And we hope to do some more polls in the coming future since everyone seemed to like it so much.
Let's do a hottest Ben moment bracket where we figure out the ultimate hottest Ben moment.
That's an idea, yes.
It's an idea. Well, at the top of the show here, we just wanted to share some Felicity Was Here fan mail that we received this week over email from a new listener. It got us very, very in our feelings this past week to receive such a nice note. So we wanted to read it on the show here to give our newer listener a little shout out here. So this is from listener Kurt. He says, "Hey gang, just a quick note to tell you that I love the podcast. I stumbled across it this weekend and I've listened to the first 2 episodes. Felicity is my comfort show. I actually watched the first 6 or 7 episodes way back when the show first aired, but then I fell away from it for some reason. Fast forward to about 10 years ago, and my friend's sister sold me her DVD set of the series, so I finally watched the entire run of the show and absolutely loved it. My life is kind of at a low point right now, so I recently started a rewatch of the show. Finding your rewatch podcast while I started rewatching the show was a nice little bit of synchronicity. Smiley face emoji. Keep doing what you're doing. My friend and I also do a podcast, so I know what a labor of love it can be and just how much goes into it. Please know that you're doing an amazing job and know that you're so much appreciated. Kurt." So, Kurt, just know that you are so much appreciated. It literally, like, we got all misty over here, and you're so right that it is such a labor of love. Like, all of us have full-time jobs, and this is just a little side passion project. So hearing that someone, that even just one person found a little joy in our podcast just made our day. And we also checked out his podcast. And I think, Dr. Joe, you've binged the podcast. So wanted to give a little shout out there too.
Binged quite a bit of it. Yes. The podcast is called The Strange Sessions, and they have a paranormal theme, but they cover lots of topics. It's not all like super spooky, scary. Some of it's just really cool. Topics range from alien abductions, Mothman, haunted houses, missing persons cases, unsolved mysteries, and the Bermuda Triangle. All sorts of cool stuff. very interesting. So there's a little something for everybody, I think. Very wide variety of topics there. And it's a fun show.
Awesome.
I'm a huge fan.
Thank you, Kurt, for your kind words.
Yes. And something I've been surprised by being new to this whole content creation thing and podcasting is how welcoming other podcasters have been just on social media or with comments and reviews like these. Like, everyone's been so warm and inviting and supportive. I love that there's not a lot of like competitive nastiness online with other podcasters. Like, it's just, as Kurt said, it's a labor of love for everyone. So yeah, definitely wanted to give a shout out to Kurt and any other listeners. We'd love to read your notes. If you have questions or comments, you can send to felicitywasherepod@gmail.com. Send us a DM on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, wherever. We'd love to connect with you and hear your thoughts. So thank you for listening, Kurt, and we hope you enjoy the rest of the season. But this week, we're back to discussing our episodes, discussing Assassins today. So as a reminder, last time Felicity and Noel found out that Hannah, Noel's ex, had decided to move to New York City to go to the conservatory anyway without telling Noel. Noel got confused about his feelings and went off with Hannah to figure them out. But at the same time, Felicity got much closer to art student Eli. Meanwhile, Julie performed at her first open mic night at the bar where Lynn works. This week, we deal with the next morning after Felicity's first time. Noel apologizes for going off with Hannah, but he very soon learns about Felicity's night with Eli. Ben starts partying with Lynn, and Julie helps Sean woo a librarian. This episode, we open with Felicity waking up in bed, and she records a tape to Sally, and she says, "Dear Sally, when I woke up, I wasn't sure if it had really happened or if it had been a dream, an incredibly realistic dream. There were pastel drawings and abstract paintings. It smelled like turpentine." And then she kind of like pulls a cardigan or a sweater off the ground, and there's like paint all over it, like as if they were rolling around like in paint the whole night. I thought that was so cute.
Oh my God. Yeah, a turpentine does not smell good, so that's not a sexy memory, I don't think.
But it's mindfulness, being in touch with all your senses. I love it.
All right.
I mean, she made it sound really romantic, even though it probably wasn't the turpentine.
It smells good now.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Maybe she also got like a little high from it. So,
That's true.
Chemicals. But then who knocks on the door but Noel? He tells Felicity that he came by last night. She wasn't around, but then he says he's so sorry. Words aren't big enough to explain. It was the worst thing he could have done, but it's over now with Hannah. And it was a huge mistake. And Felicity pretty much says, like, she's just like, I can't talk about it right now. And Noel keeps going. He says the whole time he was with Hannah, all he could do was think of Felicity and that nothing happened. They didn't sleep together. And of course, Felicity's just kind of like, uh-oh, like, I slept with someone. But she avoids everything in that moment, says she has to go to the library. And Noel's like, I don't blame you for being hurt and mad, but please, can we talk about this? And she's not having it. She's like, nope, I really have to go. And she like leaves for the library or class. So yeah, Noel is sorry for what happened the night before. Sounds like y'all aren't buying it.
Also, he said nothing happened. They totally made out for a long time. Passionate makeout session. Yeah.
Clothing was removed.
That's not nothing.
Yeah, they were like on the edge of sleeping together. So yeah, that's not nothing. And thinking about her the whole time, it seemed like, yeah, pretty hot and heavy. I don't think he was thinking about her. He seemed very focused
on
Hannah at the time. So that's just, it seems disingenuous to me based on what we saw.
Yeah. He should be telling her about the boner he got when she just took the pencil out of her hair. It was like all over her after that. That's not nothing. Am I right?
It's because she said derivative. That turned him on.
Yeah, that turned him on. That gave him the boner.
Most likely.
Yeah. Yeah, to me, like, nothing happened would have been he went over there to tell her, I can't be with you, but that's not what was happening that night.
No.
Right, exactly. And if nothing did happen, he would have been at home when she called. It's like, it took a really long time for nothing to happen.
So then Julie meets Felicity in the library and asks her what happened with Noel and Hannah. Felicity responds that she talked to him in the morning and he apologized. Julie's like, good, okay, good. And like, what happened when he went over to Hannah's? And Felicity says that, he told her it was over and he didn't sleep with her. So Julie's like, okay, that's a good thing, right? Like, this is good. And Felicity just says that it's complicated and it's hard to explain right now. And who bursts in but Sean? Because, of course, he does in every moment. Julie having a callback here to the finals episode. She's like, look, I'm not selling fruit for you right now. And we're also in the middle of something. And so she kind of rebuffs Sean and his intrusion, and he gets up and leaves. But Felicity says she has to go to chemistry anyway, and so she ups and leaves without sharing anything with Julie, which I think is kind of weird if they're quote-unquote best friends. Like, I don't get why she couldn't explain to Julie what had happened. I thought that was weird.
I think she was still really ashamed at that time because she was like in that hazy moment when she just woke up and was remembering everything, and then Noel popped up and was like, oh crap, I gotta deal with this now, like real life is happening again. And I think she feels guilty or ashamed or something, even though she has no reason to. I think she does, and I think she doesn't want to say it out loud, like, and make it that much more real.
Yeah, I think it was so out of character for her and so like crazy that it happened in the first place that it would probably be hard for her to explain to Julie like why she did it, because she probably doesn't even fully comprehend why she did it yet.
Then back in Noel's room, he's making a mixtape because it's the 90s. And that's what you do.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So then Daryl bursts in and hands Noel a box. And apparently whatever's in the box was Noel's idea, and he's got to do something for his floor. And Noel's just like, oh my God, I don't have time for this, Daryl. Please cover for me. And Daryl's like, nope, I did my part. I got all this crap for you. Now, here you go. You can handle it for your floor. So Daryl leaves. Noel has a little resident meeting in their floor lobby and explains that because there have been some security issues, the residents don't know each other very well. And then some genius, which is Noel, came up with the idea to play Assassins, which apparently is a fun game. Had either of you heard of this game before the show? I had never heard of it.
No.
Nope. I didn't look up if it's a real game or not, because I was like, did they make it up for the show, or is this a thing?
I feel like it sounds
I
like
mean,
it
it
could
seems
be
like
real.
fun.
Yeah. And I remember in school playing, what was it, Mafia, where you're like sitting in a circle and there's a hit person, and that you like kind of go around the circle and you like tap on them and then they're killed and then you have to like figure out who it is. I don't know. Anyway.
Yes.
I feel like this is kind of similar, just with Nerf guns.
Oh, and the Nerf guns make it so much more fun.
Oh, yeah. So as Noel is giving his little presentation about Assassins, Felicity walks in during his speech, goes up to Elena, and Elena is psyched to be playing Assassin. She said she played it at boarding school, and she loves this game. So now they're all hitmen, and I love that Elena's like, excuse me, how about hit person? Because it's got to be inclusive. So he changes it to hit people, and everyone's going to get a Nerf gun. I like that Lewis is also back, and now he's a pacifist, even though in the earlier in the season, he was like dreaming about stabbing his roommate, but now he's a pacifist. So I thought that was funny.
Maybe he got some therapy.
Oh,
maybe he changed his ways.
Hopefully. So yeah. Lewis doesn't want to participate because he's a pacifist, and Richard calls him a wuss, which is also funny. So yeah, they got these little suction darts. Everyone gets an envelope with the name of another resident in it. You have to hit your target. Once you hit them, you get their envelope, who then becomes your next target. You get hit, you're out, and the last person standing wins. Noel, though, like, I don't really care if you play, but all of this starts in 1 hour. So Elena, of course, is very competitive and has to win because in boarding school, she lost by like one person. She got out in the final round, I think. So she's got to win at Assassins. But after this little meeting, Noel comes up to Felicity and Elena. He obviously wants to talk to Felicity. So Elena kind of bows out and goes and does Assassins things. And Noel says that he doesn't expect Felicity to forgive him right away, but he's going to do whatever it takes. And, oh, by the way, you know, that mixtape I was working on, I finished it. And so he hands her the mixtape.
Well,
it's going to have to be one really good mixtape.
I know. To think that would fix anything. What a fool.
It's all just Sarah McLachlan tunes.
Ouch. Gosh.
I guess no one's ever made me a mixtape when they've done something wrong as like a form of apology. So I don't know that I would accept it.
I don't think it solves anything. Yeah. But then Richard complains to Noel that his gun is broken, and then Elena comes back up to Felicity and kind of pulls her away and says she can't believe Noel even has the nerve to talk to Felicity after all that Hannah stuff as they walk away, and Noel pines for Felicity as she walks away.
I just want to say I love how like protective and supportive Elena is throughout this whole episode for Felicity. Like if I was going through something like this, I would want her to be by my side because she was like totally badass through the whole thing.
She's for sure ride or die. Like that's the definition of ride or die. Then Julie goes to the loft where Sean is, and now he gives her the cold shoulder as repayment because he's a little child. So she apologizes.
So immature.
Yeah. So she apologizes for being rude at the library, but they were in very deep girl talk, which like, can't you understand that? Like you interrupted a conversation. Rude. Yeah. And like he just interrupted a conversation.
She politely. Yeah.
So she asks what he was doing there if he wasn't selling fruit. And basically Sean has a crush on a librarian, but he has this like whole plan, but he needs to know her name. And so he really wants Julie's help to ask this librarian her name. And then Ben and Lynn come in, and Lynn says that there's a good band playing at like 1 a.m, but they have a 5 a.m. practice. And he's like, oh, are you guys going to come, or are you killjoys? Julie and Sean are both killjoys. But Ben decides that he's going to go, even though that's barely any sleep for practice, but he thinks he'll be all right. So Lynn is a bit of an influence on him. So then in her room, Felicity and Elena are listening to the mixtape from Noel. And Elena's like, girl, you do not go soft on Noel. I don't care what this mixtape is. Like, just don't let up. Don't let him off that easy. And Felicity tells her, well, maybe what he did wasn't so horrible. Elena's like, please don't let him get away with it. All that Hannah stuff, like that's bad stuff. He was hanging out with another girl. And Felicity says that Noel keeps apologizing and she just feels awful. But Elena's like, look, he's the one hanging out with someone else, not you. He should feel awful. And Felicity kind of gives her a look, but again, doesn't really divulge what's going on yet to even Elena. But Elena's like, look, Richard's your target. Go shoot Richard. It'll make you feel better. Forget about Noel for now. There's a knock at the door. And Elena says, oh my gosh, like, don't open it. It could be your hit person. The game has started. And the person at the door says it's a delivery for facility porter this time. Like, is this really that hard of a name to get right?
That was so funny. I laughed so hard.
Facility porter. And Elena has her gun up. She's like, why don't you just leave whatever it is by the door? And delivery guy's like, all right, whatever. And Megan comes in her door and she's like, hey, are you guys deaf? A delivery person just left these hideous flowers at your door. So yeah, they bring in these flowers. It actually was a delivery person, not a hit person. And that was like the last straw for Felicity. She takes the card, but she's like, ugh, I have to go talk to Noel. I can't live like this. And so she leaves. Meanwhile, Elena asks Megan, like, oh, so who's your target? And Megan looks in her envelope. She says, who's Elena Tyler? And Elena says, no idea. Bye.
That was the best. I love that. I love that exchange. And I love that Megan said hideous flowers. She's just she's so funny. I love it.
So then Felicity knocks on Noel's door and she asks to talk. And of course, Noel's like, oh my God, yes, of course. That's all I've been wanting, right? Is to talk about everything. So she comes in and Noel starts talking. He's like, look, I know what I did was horrible. I deserve all the punishment. Blah, blah, blah. He starts blathering on and Felicity's like, no, like, please just stop talking. Like, I can't take all of this apologizing, the tapes and the flowers. And Noel's like, what flowers? I didn't send you any flowers. Oh boy. My stomach drops. My stomach drops at that point every time. Because Felicity didn't look at the note before going over to his room.
Foolish.
So she takes out the note.
Jump into conclusions.
Noel takes the note and says, who's Eli? Felicity says, well, that's actually what I came to talk to you about. Last night I was with someone and I slept with him. And then Noel just walks out. Which, yeah, again, is also immature.
I don't like that he grabbed the note out of her hand.
Yeah.
Just give her a minute. Like, she wasn't even done comprehending what was on the card, but he decided to just take it out of her hands. Like, ugh, so gross.
Not cool.
So question.
And there's obviously worse things to do, but I didn't like it.
A question for you both. They were, as we've discussed before, apparently broken up. Would you, if you were Felicity, would you have told Noel that you slept with this guy? It could just be like, oh, it's this guy who has a crush on me in art, right? Like, did she owe him anything, any explanation here? Would you have told Noel?
Be done with him at that point. Like from the previous episode, like those behaviors, I'd be done. So I think she only told him because she was trying to see if maybe they could move forward and salvage the relationship because he was being apologetic and sending, giving her stuff. But otherwise, no, I'd never talk to him again. Like, tell him that. I'd never tell him hello again. No.
I would have been like, oh my God, Eli sent me flowers after one night? Okay, I'm going to go find him. That's awesome. Oh, a sweetheart.
Yeah. Yeah, the fact that she thought that Noel sent flowers and it was actually Eli, it's like, Noel, you're dropping the ball. The mixtape's not going to cut it. Like, he should have sent flowers, but it was Eli. And I thought that was amazing. That's so mature for a young college student to send
sensitive
flowers
artist.
And send a note. That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's really cool. But I think Felicity knew, she knows Noel. She knows he wouldn't have let it go. Like, I think he would have constantly pestered her, like, what happened? Like, who is this guy? Like, he would have, like, questioned her to death, and she would have ended up telling him anyway, I think. So she was just kind of, like, getting it over with.
Because, I also feel like I was going to say, it's kind of none of his business. So, I don't know if I would have even told him, like, we're not together. Why does it matter? I mean, you could say, like, who Eli is, but I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, he left her.
Well, I wouldn't have been standing in front of him. Yeah. To begin with. Like, he wouldn't have had that opportunity to take it out of my hand. Yeah.
He walked out the hallway. Like, he lost his chance to know anything about it.
Yeah.
He'd done.
So then in a lecture that Noel's in, he's like sitting there and freaking out, not paying attention. And he actually like gets up and leaves mid-lecture after getting called on by the professor because he's like, oh, I'm just having like a life crisis and I can't concentrate and I need to leave. And I'm also like, dude, no one died. Like, it's fine.
Yeah, it's a little dramatic.
Okay. Like, yeah.
A little over the top.
I mean, which they
per
both,
usual.
Yeah,
like,
they both are.
Kind of a little over the top.
Yeah. But after receiving the flowers, Felicity does go to the art studio, but not for the reason you think. Eli's sketching, looking very cute in, Joe, what did you call it? A Neapolitan polo shirt?
Yes. Yes. And I thought it again when I rewatched it again today.
It's like pink, green, and gray. Yeah, that's so funny. After you said that, I like couldn't get it out of my mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
And always rocking the statement necklace. So he's actually looks very excited to see her, which, I mean, if he sent her flowers, I would assume that he would be. But like he gets up, he's excited. She thanks him for the flowers. He says, you're welcome. And then Felicity says, well, it's just that last night shouldn't have happened. There's a guy in her life and Eli just kind of stops her. Like, he does look disappointed, but also it's like, well, this stuff happens. Like, he's pretty chill about it, even though he does look like disappointed. He's like, look, I get it. Like, you were going through a rough spot. You needed a break. You just wanted to feel better. People do things like that all the time. And Felicity's like, well, but I don't. He's like, no, look, it's cool. But hey, if it doesn't work out between you two, let me know. And he sits down. He's got like this super cute face. He was just so chill about it.
Yeah.
And it didn't have to have like this whole big
door
meaning.
Still open.
Yeah. It was so cute.
No, that's a mature reaction.
Yeah. Yes. Scrumptious. That's the good stuff.
Yeah. And he's not like, oh, we have all this meaning. We spent the night together and now we have to be boyfriend and girlfriend or this or that. Like, it could just be a fun night if that's what it was. Sure, maybe he was hoping for more, but like he didn't, hold it against her, make her feel guilty about it. So it was just like, wait, Felicity, what are you doing? Just keep seeing Eli. So Felicity tells Sally that Eli says that people do that all the time, but I never thought I was one of those people. She said, I was so relieved to get out of there, leaving everything that happened behind, but I'll never be able to leave it behind. My first time was with someone I didn't know, and I'll never be able to change that. What I did, it's forever. And that reminded me of in Gimme an O, when we hear Sally's tape back at the end, when Felicity decided not to sleep with Noel. Sally says that her first time was with a random guy at a party in college. And I couldn't say it in that episode because I didn't want to give anything away. But I was like, is that foreshadowing for Felicity's first time too? That she's going to kind of do it with someone she doesn't really know very well. And yeah, they knew each other a little bit beforehand, but like it essentially was a one night stand. They're not going to date anymore. And I thought that was really clever. And I wonder if that was foreshadowing on purpose.
I mean, it didn't have to be a one-night stand, though. It could
I
have
know.
gone on. So I think that's so painful about this.
Yeah. So back at the library, Sean and Julie are staking out the librarian. And someone comes up and shoots Julie with the Nerf dart, and she throws it back and says that the library is out of bounds. So sits back down with Sean, and the librarian arrives. And he's just like so enamored with her. He's like, look how gorgeous she is. I could never talk to someone that gorgeous. Just like, again, read the room like you're with another beautiful girl. You don't say something like that. And yeah, eventually he's like, oh, gee, thanks. Like, yeah, you can talk to me, but not her. Okay. But Sean wrote this librarian a letter. He's like, I'm going to go give her the letter. But Julie reads it. It's super cheesy. She's like, you can't give this to her. So Julie just goes right up to her to get her name, and it's Chloe. So now Sean is on to implement stage 2 of the plan. And this whole time he's like in this library. How would he have even seen this librarian? He doesn't go to school here. Like, I keep thinking of in Mean Girls when he's like, she doesn't even go here. Like, that's what I feel like about Sean most of the time. It's like, he doesn't even go here.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's so
Good
weird.
He's like 40.
Goes there to make his sales.
That's true.
Why he goes there. Oh, maybe he was doing like a vending machine trip. Does he have that too?
Yeah.
Or just the disposable cameras?
They're disposable camera vending machines, I think. Right?
Okay, is that the only thing he's got? Because I was like, if he had a vending machine, like Sensa's hookup kind of vending machine, then that would be a good excuse to be there. But he was just loitering.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Maybe
so,
it's
yeah,
from before
weird.
when he was selling fruit. Maybe that's when he saw her. But I'm like, how would he even know about
Which
this
shouldn't
librarian?
have been legal either. He shouldn't have been skulking around selling fruit. Like, he would have got in trouble. Like, no soliciting. Like, you can't just sell fruit, walk into a place and start selling stuff. I can't. I know I wouldn't be able to get away with that.
And you can't even get into a library without a school
Yeah.
ID. It's so weird.
Lots of weird. I guess that's the kind of thing that happens at fake universities. This would have never flown at NYU, but at UNY, it's okay to be a stranger going into the library.
Oh, God.
To sell fruit. So then back at the dorm, Elena is staking out her target in the hallway, and Felicity comes out of her room all distraught. And Guy tries to come out of his room and sees Elena there waiting for him. He goes back in his room and tells Elena she's not allowed to ambush her target. But Elena says, your ass is mine. She's determined. But Felicity has a note for Noel, and Elena, again, is just like, if I were you, I would let Noel suffer. And Felicity says that she thinks that Noel is suffering enough already, but that she'll tell Elena about it later. So she probably has a little bit of resentment still because of the Blair situation, I think. She's like, let him rot in hell. But also, like, she's just supporting her friend, too. So, yeah, love Elena here. She's just like, let him suffer. So then we go to Dean and DeLuca, where Ben is working, and Lynn stops by and asks Ben if he's going to go out again tonight. But Ben's like, oh my God, I'm barely standing. I barely made it through practice already. And Lynn's like, barely standing, barely alive. That's all you really need. Like, come on. So Ben decides that he will go out again. And then Lynn just kind of makes a crack about how little money that he's making at Dean and DeLuca in the tips. So typical boy banter. Yeah, basically Ben is going out a lot with Lynn.
Mm-hmm. And it's catching up with him, little by little.
It takes a toll. Although if you're gonna do it when
hilarious.
you're 19, that's when you can do it. So.
Oh yeah, that's the time to do
Yeah.
it. Yeah, for sure. Oh, but I thought it was so cute that Ben actually had his hat on, and then Javier wasn't even there to see it, but he was wearing his hat. And then as soon as he saw Lynn walk in, he ripped it off real quick. Like, I don't know what's so embarrassing about wearing that kind of hat, but he had to get rid of it.
He thinks he looks
And
dorky.
it's ironic because, yeah, it's like Lynn's wearing a bucket hat, and it looks like it's crocheted.
Oh,
So that was an
gross.
interesting stylistic choice.
And also, you're welcome, Gen Z, because we were doing bucket hats in the 90s before you were now. Like,
Oh,
bucket hats
God.
are back again, and we
No
did it
one
first.
should wear a bucket hat. Bucket hats are horrible. No, sorry.
Oh my God. If any Gen Z is listening to us, which they're probably not, they're going to be like, well, fuck
Well,
you.
good. I don't want any bucket wearing hat freak listening to this podcast. Okay.
Oh, no. I'm saying you could wear
But
your
I
bucket
wanted to
hats.
buy one after I saw it.
You know who wears-
We sell bucket hats.
Oh,
We sell
Heather.
bucket hats in our shop. And I was going to buy a pink one.
Oh, God, you guys, what's happening?
I know.
I
don't know.
I had a lot as a kid.
I don't know what's
and
happening.
I like hats.
I do too, but not bucket hats.
Melissa, you won't even wear a Felicity Was Here bucket hat?
No. Any Heather hat but that. I'd wear one of those little beanie hats with those propellers on top before I wore a bucket hat.
Whoa.
That's how
Dang,
ugly they
that's
are. I'm
serious.
sorry. From a design perspective, they're just not aesthetically pleasing.
I don't know why. Aesthetically pleasing. Okay. I'll listen. I'll take the artist's word for it.
Thank you.
I don't know anything about fashion. Like, I don't. I'm the first to say that. And I say it with my clothes every single day.
It gets very, very hot in LA. We need shade, and that is a brim all the way around the head and neck. It's more
There's
functional.
so
than
many other
about-
brim hats.
There's so many other hats. Just a big floppy hat.
The brim is only like an inch wide, so really you're getting more sun than you would if you had like a actual sun hat. Anyway, we spent too much time on this segment already.
I don't think we've spent enough, but yes, let's move on.
Well, then Noel comes back to his room and sees Felicity's note slid under the door. He doesn't really read it, though. He's just, moping, wallowing like he's done in the past. And Richard bursts in and wants to clarify the rules of assassins. Says, so, if you have the name of the person, you can shoot them, right? Noel's like, yep, that's how it works. And Richard has Noel, and he says, ironic, isn't it, how quickly the hunter becomes the hunted? But it makes no sense because Noel's never hunted him. But Noel's like, yep, just go ahead and shoot me already and put me out of my misery. And Richard says that Noel's taking all the fun out of this. But he's just so depressed that Richard now all of a sudden cares about Noel's feelings. He's like, well, whatever it is, buddy, like, you can tell me. I'm here for you. And he guesses that it's something about Felicity. Richard's like, oh, yeah, I've been there. You've got that look. There's another guy in the picture, huh? Well, I've been there with another girl that I dated at summer camp. So we're talking about what? He's like 6 years old. But he's like, yeah, back in summer camp, you know what I did? I looked into the guy. I wanted to find out more about him. He's like, and it didn't make me feel any better when I found out that he was a minnow. Said, you hear what I'm telling you, man? I lost my girl to someone who wore floaties. So then Noel gets the idea to go and find out more about the guy that Felicity slept with. And Richard's like, yeah, I mean, it's a bad idea, but yeah, that's what I did. So now Noel's going to go and do it. And it's just like terrible advice for Richard. Wouldn't expect any less from him. And to be fair, he does tell Noel it would be a bad idea, but like he planted the seed already. Like, why did you even bring that story up? Pointless.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of thing that Noel would have done on his own anyway. I don't
Yeah.
think it took Richard planting that seed for... I think he would have... Yeah, because he doesn't let things go. Like, he would have to get to the bottom
Mhm.
of that mystery. Who is Eli?
He would be obsessed. Yep.
So that probably would have... Yeah. Also, Richard was hilarious when he pulled his gun out. That was the funniest thing because he was trying to be so
He was,
slick.
like,
and
fumbling
he
with
just
it.
Totally fumbled. It was brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was perfect.
So Noel goes to Felicity's room to start grilling her about Eli. And it did make me very sad that he's got his magic 8-ball in his hands that he's playing with. And it just draws me back when things were good. And that's all over now. It makes me
So it's
very
like one
sad.
episode before he did his
Couple.
dumbass
Thanksgiving
mistake.
was
Yeah.
before winter break.
Mm-hmm.
Back when he was still with Hannah. But yeah, so Felicity just keeps apologizing to him, but he's asking questions about Eli. Who is he? How'd you meet him? Blah, blah, blah. And then he says, he's like, well, don't you get, like, this involves me too. I don't even know if you are safe. And I'm like, first of all, that does not involve you. That's assuming you are going to be with Felicity and sleep with her in the future when that has not been decided. It's not up to you. That was like one of the more egregious things.
Yeah.
That it's like, what does that have to do with you at
Egregious.
all? Yeah.
yeah, makes everything about him. That's
True.
his MO.
Like, this only matters if I ever sleep with you again. And at this point, it's not looking good. So, yeah, but she says, of course, they were safe. And she's like, look, you were with Hannah. He says, well, I didn't have sex with Hannah. And she says that she thought that, when he left, he was breaking up with her and going off with Hannah. And so he asks, well, was it revenge? She says no. And he freaks out and, like, drops/throws the magic 8-ball. Was like, oh, then what the hell was it? And yeah, that again, I was like, that's the end of all of the, that was the end of all the, like, happy feelings. It's all done. And I really just don't like any kind of, like, violent things. I know it wasn't at her, but, like, just the object, so that was probably...
No, that's still a domestic violence thing, potentially. I mean, maybe not in this particular scene, but environmental violence is part of domestic violence when that is actually going on. I'm not saying that's what's going on here, but breaking objects, throwing things, like, that's intimidation stuff, and that's not cool. So I was super grossed out when I saw that. Again, I don't think he was trying to be, like, abusive, but he was just too reactive, Like, that's not cool. Like, is he gonna lose his cool like this all the time? If they did get back together, what else is gonna set him off, and what else is he gonna break? Like, no, thank you.
Yeah. Well, and look, like, I can understand, and I'm not making excuses for him. I'm just like, I can understand from his perspective where, like, even if I broke up with someone, if they went and, like, slept with someone that very same night, my feelings would probably be hurt too. However,
of course,
I would not have a right to, like, hold it over someone, make them feel guilty, be mad at them. Like, the extent that he's taking this to is just not right. So, like, I can understand being sad or upset that she went and slept with this guy, but, like, he doesn't really have a right to hold all of this over her because, he was off with someone else too. So it's just, really upsetting that he takes it this far.
Yeah, feelings are valid. The behavior is a no-go.
Yeah.
Like, and it's not up to her to regulate his feelings for him. He has to go do that on his own time and not lay on that on her and make her responsible for it.
Yep. And now it's turned into her apologizing to him, like, over and over and over when, like, he was the one who was kind of in the wrong first. Yeah.
Yep.
Like last episode when she was apologizing, even though it was him doing something.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I don't like that dynamic at all.
So yeah, Felicity just says that she doesn't really know what else to say. She made a mistake and she wished she could take, like, the whole last 2 days back. And he says that she can't and that it's done. And so he leaves and she starts crying a lot. It's very sad.
Okay. I got something funny.
I'm like, really very sad. She's crying. And you're cracking up.
Oh my God. I was watching this, before we recorded because it had been a while and I was, like, refreshing. And my husband happened to walk by right at that scene. He's like, dang, she was doing Eli for 2 days straight.
She wishes.
Yeah, that's what I said. I'm like, she should have. That was so funny. He's like, dang.
This is a teen show.
Yeah, but it was, oh my gosh, it was so funny. He just likes to talk his little shit in the background when I'm watching the show. Sometimes he's very funny. He's like, I don't know. I didn't see the episode. I don't know.
They were just, like, holed up in the art studio for 2 days straight.
Oh my God.
That sounds like a dream come true. Okay.
That'll be in the reboot.
Yes.
So then back in the dorm, Elena is still waiting outside Guy's room. He has to go to the bathroom, but, like, she's just waiting for him to come out so she can shoot him. And she says, all right, I'll give you 5-minute break to go to the bathroom. He pops out, but of course, Elena was lying and she shoots him. And, like, is Elena not going to class at this point? Because she's just, like, sitting outside someone's dorm room. Like, I know she's competitive, but I also feel like she cares too much about school to be missing classes and lectures and stuff. So I'm like, what is Elena doing here?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Maybe it's in the, like, on the weekend, because so far we've only seen people going to the library and not go to class. So.
Well, Noel was in lecture.
But.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Well, maybe just morning class. Maybe she's got, like, afternoon class and she has time to run around. But I thought it was interesting. This is a total stereotype. Like, isn't Guy a computer guy? Don't those people pee in bottles in their room all the time? Like, why did he have to leave his room to pee? No, that's a thing. I saw it on another show. I didn't make that up. You know exactly what I'm talking about. That's a thing.
I mean, I've heard of the concept, but not for, like, techie people. I like the Aviator movie. I
No,
remember.
like just being at the computer
It's like gamers.
forever.
That's like, it reminds
Yeah.
me of the South Park episode where Cartman's like playing World of Warcraft.
Okay, maybe that's.
And he's like, Mom, bathroom.
Yeah.
His mom brings him a bottle.
I can't remember where I saw it because I know I've seen it on more than one show. I know I have. So that's why I was like, oh, that's kind of funny. They should have made him pee in a bottle. But I
That's
guess
gross.
that's gross. I know. But it was really funny to watch him get shot on the back.
Yeah. So Noel walks by, though, right when she shoots him, and Guy tells Noel, hey, she cheats. And then Noel says, so does everybody.
Oh, God.
And again, I'm like,
Womp
but
womp.
Felicity didn't cheat on you because you
didn't.
were on a break at the best and broken up
No.
at the worst.
Yeah. Like, don't use the Ross
Mhm.
excuse. We were on a break. No, they were done.
Okay.
He torpedoed that relationship.
Yeah. Okay. So then.
Well, I'll say this. Just hold on. Because we were talking about kind of interpretation, like what does it mean that he walked out? And the breakup doesn't have to be like a mutual thing where they both agree to it and shake hands and say we're broken up. Like him walking out made her kind of perceive them as broken up. Like she said like it's over with her perception of that act of him walking out, not like I think he just broke up with me. Like I think she was like we're done because she wanted to be done because why did you walk out? Kind of thing. So that's why I think it's a breakup in that sense because she doesn't need his permission or his decree of we're broken up. She can decide that for herself, and I think she did in that moment when he walked out the door with another woman.
Are you?
That's why.
So are
it's not
you
cheating.
Are you team Ross then? In the Ross?
Fuck no, he's a DV. He's domestic violence too, but I don't have time to get into that right now because I will make a PowerPoint.
No,
on
but
it,
like
and I don't want to.
I was seeing similarities in the plot line. Like they're on a break, they're broken up. One person gets pissed at the other for sleeping with someone that night, and they can't go back. And like Felicity's kind of the Ross in this situation, and Noel is the Rachel. Now the circumstances of the breaks and breakups were different, so maybe that changes it completely. But okay,
I think she decided in that moment that the relationship was over. She didn't need him to tell her that it was over. She can decide that for herself. So that's why it's not a break or a confusion. Like it's just over.
Well, and she like told him to leave. She was like, "Oh my God, please leave." So yeah, I think she was probably done too. Yeah. Then Felicity and Julie are eating in the cafeteria where she finally tells Julie about Eli. And Felicity apologizes that she didn't tell her sooner, but she just couldn't get the words out. And Julie says that she's been there sleeping with someone you wish you hadn't, that it makes you feel used or like he didn't care. But Felicity thankfully defends Eli and says that it wasn't actually like that, though, that he was sweet and kind. And Julie says, really? She's like, yep, really. Eli was not the horrible part. It was just that it had happened at all. And then, yeah, this part is sad too. She's like, oh, God, like just last week, Noel and I were making out instead of studying and taking naps together. And she was apparently going to go to Boston with him for spring break. But now everything is ruined. So Felicity then says that she didn't know what she was thinking. And Julie says, well, you're always thinking. And this time you weren't. And sometimes that happens.
That's even more crazy that all this happened with the Hannah storyline because she was going to go to Boston and meet his family. That's pretty serious. And for him to just turn around and be like, I'm walking out with Hannah and who knows what's going to happen after I walk out this door. Like, what? That's crazy. That makes all this even more wild.
And again, like, he had kind of just broken up with Hannah. Like, I can't get over it. Like, the whole situation was just so too soon and too weird.
Yeah. It was out of left field. It was dumb.
Yeah. Hey, gotta shake things up toward the end of the season here, so I get it. But then Richard comes up to the table and says to Felicity that he heard about what she did to Noel, her dirty little deed. But like Felicity's already crying.
Oh my gosh.
And now she's angry because Richard's a dumbass and she shoots him in the face, which must have been so freaking satisfying for her. But yeah, like he's just he's so like contradictory. At first he's like pissed because they're fraternizing and now he's pissed at Felicity because she was with someone else. So yeah.
Classic bros over hoes.
He's all over the place. But Felicity gets his envelope since she shot him. And who is it but Noel? Noel is her next target, of course. So now Noel goes to the art studio because he wants to find out more about Eli still. So he goes over and starts peeping his artwork, and Eli's like, yeah, look around, whatever. As if, does that happen all the time in the art studio? You just get like random students walking in to look at
No,
artwork and
never.
sketches? Yeah, okay.
Oh, that's not a thing? They don't treat it like an art museum? Oh, weird.
We'd be like, who
Tell me,
the
what
fuck
were
is
you-
this? Get out.
What were you thinking when you made this
Scram.
sketch? Yeah. But Noel sees the sketches of Felicity that Eli did, and he asks Eli who that is. And Eli says, oh, just some girl. Noel says, that's what I thought, and storms out. And we see a little bit of like a knowing look in Eli's eyes, like, oh, I bet that might have been that guy. Uh-oh. But also, it's just ridiculous because this is a stranger asking you about some girl. Like, what are you going to say? Like, oh, that's a girl that I slept with last night, and I really liked her, but she was going out with some other guy. What's he supposed to say to some stranger?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna spill all that. Yeah, that's ridiculous. Like, he cannot. That's unreasonable for him to expect an explanation from Eli, like just because he wants one. What would it made it better if he was like, oh yeah, we're totally in love? I don't think Eli could have said anything that would have been satisfying him. He just needed another excuse to be more pissed than he already was. He just wanted to amp himself up even more.
Yep. Then at the loft, Sean tells Julie that he's got stage 2 of his plan ready, and he purchased a day planner for Chloe. Julie's just like, a day planner, why? And because he's an entrepreneur or a salesman, he thinks he needs to give Chloe like a buyer's incentive, like when you get a free watch from a magazine subscription. And like Sean again, before they're like property, real estate investments, now like it's giving out a magazine subscription is like a woman. It's just weird. He has all these wrong analogies for women.
Yeah, prospective buyer.
Yeah. Oof. And Julie tells him to lose the day planner, which is good advice. But then at Epstein Bar, we see Noel is drinking his feelings. So Lynn is bartending. And again, he never forgets a face. He's like, I know you know Ben, right? Well, Ben's coming soon. I actually thought this was really funny. Noel says, great. Yeah, I actually forgot about Ben, but thanks for that. I actually thought that was funny. But he orders another beer, and Lynn says, oh, so you're going to do like what, the thing you saw in the movies, you're going to drink away your sorrows type of thing. And Noel's like, yeah, are you going to narrate it? And he says, no, but I am going to cut you off after this one and then go see your girlfriend. But that wasn't the right thing to say because they're not together anymore. Then we go back to Kelvin, and Megan, Lewis, and Daryl all happen upon each other in the hallway, and they're all wary of each other and like pull out their guns too in that like Spider-Man meme where it's like you. They're pointing at each other, and they're all asking like, who's got me as a target? Lewis says, stop the violence. And Megan was just going for her Carmex, but then she pulls her gun. And she's like asking Daryl, like, who's your target? But Elena sneaks up behind and shoots Daryl because she had Daryl. So Lewis scampers away from Elena, and Noel comes in.
I thought this was just for their floor, but it's for the entire dorm because Daryl's not on their floor. It's the whole.
I think Noel was
I don't
responsible
mind Daryl. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. I think Noel was just responsible for passing out the stuff on his floor, but I think it was the whole dorm because it was like,
okay,
they don't know each other in the whole dorm, and that's why there's like security
because it was
risks
coming
in
the
building.
Okay,
yeah.
I was like, why is
which
Daryl
would be
there?
really, really hard.
Yeah.
So Noel stumbles in tipsy and goes into Felicity's room, and she's playing Noel's mixtape. She tells him that it's really good so far, and he goes and sits down on the bed next to her, and she asks him if he's been drinking. He has a little bit. She asks him if he got her messages, and he's like, oh, you left me messages? Oh, okay. And he continues to apologize about everything that's happened, that it's all his fault. And she says, no, it's her fault too, and she's really sorry, which, whatever. And then he starts kissing her, and he's just like adamant that let's just forget, like, let's pretend this never happened, just forget about it. But Felicity's like, we should talk about it, and Noel just wants to forget about it. And he keeps kissing her, and then eventually she has to actually push him off and say, like, stop. So, yeah, that's my opinion, the worst Noel moment of the series.
It was
Especially
icky.
everything that Especially everything that happened with Julie. Like, it's just, yeah, I did not love that at all.
Yeah, that was
Not even a
nuts.
little bit.
I didn't like that they made him do that. No.
But they wrote it that way, so I have to accept it. But yeah, I don't love that at all.
We all have to.
I have to accept that he did it, just like the thing with his brother. But yeah, after she pushes him off, then all of a sudden he's like, what am I even doing here? And like walks out. I'm like, okay, being drunk doesn't give you amnesia. Like that again, too. The writing was kind of sus there. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. That whole scene was weird. Like, is he supposed to be having a psychotic break? Like, what is going on? Like, you can't blame that on alcohol, that whole scene. So.
Yeah. But it's weird that he thought like having sex with her could fix the this problem or something. She didn't agree to have sex with you. Just because she had sex with one person doesn't mean like she's open for business and anybody who wants to have sex with her now just can. That's not how that works. So that's weird that he just assumed that, okay, we can start doing it now. Like, why?
Yeah, maybe he was just trying to
he probably
claim
feels
her.
entitled. Yep.
Yeah, exactly, which is all gross.
Yeah.
So gross.
Well, and the idea of not talking about things or actually resolving why this whole thing happened, like, let's just forget about it and move on, like, sweep it all under the rug, like, that's also not going to solve anything either. For two people who love to talk and obsess about something, I just can't see them both just forgetting about it and sweeping it under the rug.
I made a note, though. I feel like they kept on referring to, I want it to go away, like, I wish it never happened. The song, and I don't know if it was the original airing, what song it was, but the song that keeps on coming up on the mixtape at the very beginning, the song's called Can't Erase It, and it's by Lena. So I thought that was very clever that the song was called Can't Erase It, because that's kind of like the whole point of all this, like all these things that keep saying they want to take it back, but you can't erase it. It happened.
That's
brilliant.
A very great point. If that is just a Hulu song, that'd be like one of the only good ones then that they've inserted into the show. They actually did a good job with that one then.
Yeah, nailed it.
So then after that, it's the next day, and in the cafeteria in slow-mo, we see Felicity and Noel walk by each other, and just as they make eye contact, Noel looks away. Again, like, I don't think he really has a right to be mad here, especially after the previous night. He owes her an apology for acting that way, not like, I'm mad at you, I'm going to give you the cold shoulder now. That was bad.
What do you think you are, man?
But Felicity gets in line for food and goes to grab Jell-O when Megan cuts in, says, diabetic here, and grabs the Jell-O first. And pretty sure, like 99% sure, she is not a diabetic. So very Megan thing to do. But Felicity says, wait, what are you doing? Megan looks at her. Oh, hey, like, oh, it's you, my roommate. Felicity says that that's the last Jell-O. And Megan says, yeah, I know. It's the only thing I can eat in this place. She says, well, snooze, you lose. And she says, oh, that's what you should have told Noel about banging the art student. Felicity gets very pissed now and says, as if it's any of your business. You are nothing but a selfish, offensive freak show, and I am sick of everything about you. Megan says, are you mad at me or something? And this interaction is so funny. Felicity says, I just want my damn Jell-O back. And her ride or die Elena pulls up next to her, holds Megan at gunpoint, and says, give her back the Jell-O. Put it down, walk away slowly, give her the Jell-O. And Megan's like, okay, you can't shoot me. You can't shoot me. It only counts if you have me as a target. Elena whips out the envelope. You're Megan, right? Shoots Megan right in the face. And Elena's like, fine, take the Jell-O. God, I thought getting some would have loosened you up, but you're worse than ever. And Elena's a great friend. Megan is still hilarious.
Yeah, I love
perfection. Back at the loft, Julie Julie's at the loft always. I think she does just live there now. But she asks Ben if he has plans next Wednesday, and he's packing up his swim bag, and in jest, he's like, yeah, I've got plans. Why? Julie says, oh, no reason. And Ben smirks and he's like, oh, what, you'd really think I'd forget your birthday? So he obviously did not forget her birthday. And she's like, well, I don't know. I haven't seen much of you lately because he's partying and going out with Lynn all the time. But he's apparently got something very nice planned for her birthday, and it's a surprise. So he's going to go out with Lynn again tonight, but he's going to call her when he gets home. So he's planned a little birthday thing for her, which is cute.
Mm-hmm.
I love the smile on his face when her back was turned and he was walking up to her. Oh, my God. Melissa. Is that
Oh
the
my
Ben's
gosh, why
hottest
did I
moment or
forget my
what?
hottest Ben
Or is there
moment?
another
Oh,
one?
there's just so much going on with Noel. I forgot to do a Ben's hottest moment. Yeah, I would say that one was the best because he wasn't really
Okay,
in
cool.
much. Yeah,
I agree.
so cute.
Yeah, that's true.
It's either that or wearing the hat.
Mhm.
Wearing the baseball hat
Mm.
at Dina DeLuca.
Close runner-up.
Back at the library, Sean is wearing a suit and finally gets the nerve to go up to Chloe and introduce himself. He starts talking about like archaeology or something, trying to get her attention. And then he asks her out, but she was distracted. She thinks he's like asking for a book title. He's like, no, I just asked you out. She says, oh, that's so nice of you, but I lost my day planner, so I don't really know my schedule. And so we are now to think that they're like soulmates because she doesn't have a day planner. And that's what he was going to give her before Julie said he should not.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah.
That's a little funny, but I didn't like that he was talking at her when she wasn't even looking. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, do you think, like, we just stop stop the world and just listen to you? Like, as soon as you open your mouth, like, like, what is that?
And he doesn't know her at all.
Like
he just thinks she's pretty.
Yeah.
Like, anything that's like this where it's like, oh, we're pining after this person again, doesn't know her at all. Like, you're talking about archaeology or something. Like, why do you think she'd be interested in that? It's just like very superficial. So,
yeah.
So then we get the slow-mo ending here. Julie is waiting for Ben's call, but he's out at the bar with Lynn again. So maybe there's some tension starting here. And then we see Sean and Chloe go out for a stroll, apparently on their little date. And then Felicity and Elena walk in and Noel approaches them. So Elena asks who his target is, and it's Felicity. So they both have each other now. And Elena's like, please, as your friend, I need you to shoot each other. She's got to win this game. And also she says it'll be therapeutic for both of them, which I don't see how that would be therapeutic. I just feel like that would be not good to shoot each other, but I don't know. That's just me. But then Elena says, okay, well, if you don't shoot each other, then you're both disqualified. So I think it is implied that Elena has now won the game because she got Megan, and I don't know and Megan had Elena. So I think that was the end of the game. We never really got the resolution on who won the game and what is the prize and all of that. So for something that's an episode that's called Assassins, we don't know really what the resolution is there. But anyway. So then Noel and Felicity go into Felicity's room to talk. And he said last night isn't what he wanted to happen, that he was a little drunk. And I'm like, well, that's not really an apology. So I really would have liked an apology there. And she just kind of says, she's just like, oh, God, I hate this. So he says that he can't stop thinking how he waited so long for her to get over Ben and that it was worth it, that it was like the easiest thing he had to do, but that he says he's confused about Hannah and she can't even wait for him for one night. Felicity says it sounds like maybe you were testing me. And he says it wasn't a test. He just never thought that this would happen. And she said she never thought that she would do that either. But he says he knows he did something wrong too, but when it was time to make a decision, he stopped. He says he should be able to forgive her, but he can't. And then she says, like, you just left with Hannah. I don't know if I can forgive you either. And Noel says, I guess we're breaking up. She says, I guess so. And that's the end. And it made me very sad. But I do like that they had Felicity at the end say, I don't know if I can forgive you either, because I feel like what he did like gets lost in this episode because it becomes about Eli.
Yeah, she was taking on way too much.
So I like that she brought it back to like, well, there's two of us in this and I don't think I can forgive you either. So I do like that they threw that in there at the end. And for our hay counter this week, we had 14 hays. I feel like whenever there's more anger in an episode, there aren't as many hays because there's other conversations going on and they're storming around and angsty. But
brooding.
Yeah. But that was kind of a heavy episode, but I think we're set up for the rest of the season here. There's some sprouts starting between, I think, Ben and Julie of things that might be some conflict. Things are going on there. And now Felicity and Noel are officially broken up. Yeah.
Yep. This episode was like
the
catalyst for all the little things that occur till the end of the season. So yeah, definitely a good setup.
Alrighty, well, next week we will be back with another rewatch episode. Let's see where we go from here. It's a new world. Felicity's single again.
Hopefully with some more Ben content. Thank you very much.
It was a little Ben light this episode, yeah. All right, ladies. Well, that does it for today. Talk to you all next week.
Bye.
Felicity Was Here is produced, written, and edited by Heather, Melissa, and Dr. Joe. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok at Felicity Was Here Pod. If you're enjoying the pod, please leave us a review and help us spread the word. We appreciate you and would love to hear from Felicity superfans like us. So send us your feedback, ask us your burning questions, or just say hey at felicitywasherepod@gmail.com. We may even read your note in a future episode. Talk to you all next week.